All right, guys, episode 41 of the podcast. Today we have Nicholas Warren Steury, the author of Reflections on Morals and Ideals. And I felt like we had an amazing conversation, and hopefully you guys enjoy it as well. And yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one, all right? Peace.
Man, so dude, no, I don't really play guitar at all, man. Like I was maybe like 6 or 7 years old. My dad was like, all right, this kid's got to do something. I was just like running around wreaking havoc. So he's like, all right, I got to give my son something to distract himself with. So he bought me like an electric guitar, and I had this guy come over, give me guitar lessons. Dude, I was like,
Were you into it, or were you just like, I was not into this?
Dude,
my dad made me do this.
I couldn't focus on anything, dude. I mean, I had like an ADHD diagnosis, so it was pretty much like impossible for me to sit and focus on anything for any period of time. So I definitely gave my guitar instructor some hell.
Yeah.
You know? It was cool though. I had a good time like playing around with it, and like I got a friend in Nashville now who gives me guitar lessons, classical guitar lessons every now and then, and I kind of just fiddle around with it. You know,
Nice.
I think it's good, man. I think that everybody should at least like have some sort of a basic relationship with music. Whether it's just like a guitar or maybe you have like a drum and you just like fuck around with it, but some kind of like relationship with creating music, yeah, and it doesn't even have to be good, but just exploring that. I think it's good for us, you know.
Yeah, the process of just creation in general, whether it be through music or like drawing or
Yeah.
painting, just creation in general, right?
Scribbling,
yeah.
just drawing, yeah, just doodling with like crayons or colored pencils, dude.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be good, and that's the thing, dude. Like everybody is worried about when they make something, it has to be a certain way for somebody else.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be that way. You just fuck around. You just make something for you.
Like that banana that was like taped to a wall, and it was sold for like $500,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
Something crazy.
Yeah. How do we do that? I've got a plum in the car.
Oh, dude.
We can go ahead and pull it off. I mean, I'm down to sacrifice my plum, but it's going to get us $500,000.
Oh man, maybe launder some money through that. I don't know.
Yeah, dude. You know that's actually a really interesting point, man. I have heard that that's how like a lot of money gets laundered.
Yeah, through art.
Is through art.
Yeah.
Because I mean, what else? How else are you gonna, move $50 million in product, piece of canvas?
Yeah.
And maybe that's happening now with like these NFTs. What do you think?
NFTs and I also cryptocurrency as well.
Really big for laundering?
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's the term laundering, but people from China, they can't take that money back to them to the United States when they travel. So they use Bitcoin. They buy Bitcoin, they go to the United States, and then they withdraw the money over here. So it's like a way of, I don't know, transferring money from China to...
This is like
Is that considered laundering?
I don't know. I don't think so, no.
No?
I don't think so. I think that's just being smart.
That is smart.
Laundering is like taking dirty money and making it clean.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Or watch like Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Dude.
Walter White.
Dude, great series, man.
Was, man.
He pulled it off with a car wash, dude. They used that car wash to launder. Dude, that guy had so much cash. Remember that scene where he's in that storage room and they're just like him and that dude just laying on this pile of money?
Oh, was that the security guards?
Yeah, security guard.
Yeah, dude. Fuck, man.
I like that show a lot, dude.
If you had that much money, would you like want to like keep working, or like, is there any motivation after that? It's like, yo, I have all this money, I just want to chill, dude.
I don't know, man. I feel like that's a very hard answer, or a hard question to answer until you're there. I mean, I feel like I know people with a lot of money who want more.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I mean, I feel like
Can you talk a little bit closer?
Yeah.
Just so it switches over to you.
Let me just like. Is that good?
Yeah. There you go.
All right.
There you go.
I'll get right up next to you.
There you
go. Yeah, man. I think you were asking me if you have that much money, would you even want to keep working? I don't know. I guess it depends on where your mindset's at, man. I mean, the people that I know who have like tons of money, like really high net worth people, like they're sharks. Like a lot of them are sharks, man, and they definitely want to keep eating.
Interesting.
Just like a total competition mindset,
It was funny because me and my friend were talking about Tom from MySpace.
Yeah. This is
And
the guy who made MySpace. Or who?
Yeah, I think he made MySpace.
Okay.
And he just made MySpace, to what it is now, and sold it for millions of dollars, and now he's just chilling in Hawaii.
Yeah. See, that's smart.
Yeah.
I mean,
just from coming from my mindset, that's something that I would love to do, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Total financial. I feel like, I don't know, man. I mean, what do I know? I don't really. I can't predict the future, but I feel like if I like won the lottery, most people, you hear these stories about these people who win the lottery and like it's gone, like they spend it like super quick.
Yeah.
And maybe this is like it's probably actually very arrogant of me to say, but I feel like if something like that happened to me, I feel like I'd be able to pull it off, and I wouldn't fuck myself up too bad.
Yeah. I think it's just the knowledge of how to manage your wealth, because people aren't really taught that in school.
No.
I don't think so.
No.
If not, then it just kind of just goes over like my head. I don't think I was taught that in school.
No, I mean I definitely had like microeconomics and some of that stuff, but I wasn't like personal finance. I don't think that there was a class in my high school that taught personal finance.
Yeah.
I don't think that's much of a curriculum at all. And it really wasn't until like I read Robert Kiyosaki that I started to even like think differently about. Is it switching over? All right, it's working.
Yeah, I just like kind of imagining I need like someone else like running all this video stuff, so I don't have to worry about this side. Yeah, so that's in the future. Definitely in the future, I want to.
Well, dude, you're growing this thing, man. You went from one camera to 2 cameras, right?
Yeah.
So what's the next move? What's the next upgrade?
The next upgrade is definitely another camera. So it's cool with this system here. So when both people are talking at the same time, it'll switch over to the third camera. So
that's cool.
That's definitely the next upgrade, and like I think you talk about this in the book, Manifestation. I read this book called The Master Key System. I think it's up there.
Yeah, grab it. Is it up there?
I think so. Let me grab it.
My friend was just telling me about this book. My friend Carrick in Nashville.
Anyways.
That's not a huge deal.
Anyways, in that book, it like talks about, I mean, I'm sure in many other books like The Secret and stuff, talks about manifestation and just visualizing and just putting yourself in that moment and feeling how you're going to feel in that moment, and then what sorts of smells are you going to smell when you get there. And it's like,
dude, yeah, man, I definitely, I don't know if, I have a pretty vivid imagination.
Yeah.
And like I dream pretty vividly, and I can, like, I'm able, when I meditate, I'm able to visualize things like very richly, recreate smells, touch, tastes, and I think like I was even reading it was a manuscript. I can't remember the author of it, but it was essentially like an exercise, like a series of exercises to like strengthen what you're talking about, right? Mm-hmm. Like the ability to manifest something. And it talks about how you go through these different exercises where you close your eyes, right? And for a certain period of time, you recreate tastes, like while you're meditating. So you just focus on recreating flavors and tastes, and you do that. And then another one is like sounds, smells, touch. So you essentially, it's this whole program of going through and exercising your ability to mimic your 5 senses internally.
Wow.
And I always thought
that's
it was
pretty cool.
I thought it was neat, man. No, I thought it was really cool. I thought it was interesting. Some people can't do it. I mean, I think that everybody probably has the ability to at some point, but some people just don't have the imagination to do something like that. But the people who do, I think those are the people who choose to exercise that and work on that. I think those are the people who are the visionaries, man, who can see things for how they can be and not as they are. Who can see into the future, who can pierce through reality, right? And create something that's not there, and then if they have a work ethic, they can actually make it real.
Yeah, kind of like that video of Steve Jobs when he talks about like, once you realize that you can manipulate reality to a certain sense, then yeah.
Yeah, dude, I think it's pretty interesting, man. Yeah, just the whole idea of visualization is, and some people take it too far, man. Like there's some people who will tell you, like The Secret, like that's a cool book, man, and it really introduces you to like the idea of like the power of your mind.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like when I think I read that book when I was like 21, 21, and that was my first introduction to the concept of my mind being connected to like my perceptual world.
Oh wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
it's not just like in my head.
Can you like go more in depth with that?
Yeah,
Just
well,
for
like,
other people that are listening.
yeah. So like the whole premise of that book is like, if you think about something enough, it will like happen, right?
Mhm.
So I guess like a lot of people, or maybe this is just like a natural inclination, is to think that like what's in our head and what we think about is just in our head, and it's like just there for us, right?
Yeah.
But what that book talks about, and what like a lot of this personal development literature talks about, that kind of touches on some of these spiritual ideas, is that your thoughts are actually bigger than just your head, and they're actually interacting with the world around you. And the whole idea of the secret is that if you think about something enough, you can actually, like, if you think about like a red car, then at some point you'll actually have a red car.
Yeah.
So it's the
or like you'll start seeing red cars more often.
Or you start seeing red cars. Yeah. So it's kind of the idea of like, our brain. I mean, at least the way that I think about it, man, is like our brain is some sort of like a remote control.
Yeah.
Right. And like the world is the television, and through interacting with our mind and setting intentions in different ways, we're able to interact with that television in different ways too.
Yeah. Just like the radio picks up different frequencies, I think our brain is also a radio that picks up different frequencies from, I think, Nikola Tesla, or many people call it the ether, which is sort of like we're picking up from a source, either like a source or something internal or
bro.
external.
Yeah, bro, the ether. Yeah, so that's the idea of like and it's even like some like old like, trying to think. I don't want to misrepresent something, but I'm pretty certain it's old like Chinese culture. The ether is actually like one of the elements, like one of the main. You have like water, fire, or maybe I think this is actually
the five.
I think this is Greek actually. Yeah. You have water, earth, fire, air, ether.
Yeah.
And the ether is like that, like mystical. It's like the element that is in all the elements and like permeates everything. It's the idea of like this space, or this like substance that is in everything and is a part of everything. And kind of like we said, yeah, it's like this source, and things can like move throughout the ether. And I guess like the best way to think about it would maybe just like the air around us. Like we can't see the air, but it's there, and it's like always moving around.
So that's like the Sumerians scientists discovered the 5 platonic solids, like these little clay things that were made during the Sumerian age, and I think they had knowledge of that as well.
Yeah, it's pretty trippy stuff, man.
Bro.
It's pretty trippy stuff, and I'm like not an expert.
I'm not either.
In any of this, really.
These are just stuff that I read and kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah, dude. I mean, this is just we're just rambling at this point, but yeah, man. No, I mean, this stuff is super interesting. These people, like the people who figured this stuff out, like these philosophers, like Socrates, Plato, these guys were so smart. I mean, they were able to perceive the world in such a unique way and figure these things out. Pythagoras, and it's very interesting how much all of it actually like boils down to the study of mathematics.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a mathematician. I'm not that good at math. My father's very good at math. I got like C's in math. But something that I've noticed, man, like a repeated pattern, is that at some point, man, all of these spiritual paths, like all of these philosophies, like they all come back to math and numbers.
Yeah.
And I just think that's interesting, man.
I really do think that's interesting. And what's that one? The golden ratio.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, and
it's on like seashells and stuff. It's like repeated. That's pretty trippy, man. I don't know, dude. I mean, it's
just stuff that like I read about, and to me it resonates with myself, because I don't know, it's just a sort of feeling that I have. It just makes sense to me. I don't know.
Yeah, dude. That's some pretty like diving into that stuff, like sacred geometry. Dude, that's it. You gotta have a serious brain on you, man.
Yeah.
I mean, diving into that stuff is that's like a lifelong study.
It is.
You know, and then like gematria.
Oh shit.
We were even talking about that, like
What's that again?
numbers. It's the idea that like so this is like a Kabbalistic concept, right? Which is like mystical Judaism. A portion of that is the idea of gematria, which is essentially the idea that each word has a number that's associated with it. And if two words share an identical number, then they carry like the same essence. It's kind of the idea there. You know, I haven't really studied it too much, but yeah, it's just a lot of it boils down to numbers. You know, a lot of these like mystery schools and these secret societies, like they study geometry. You know, and they study numbers, and you know, some of them even say that like the creator is a mathematician.
Like speaks through math or something.
Speaks through
right?
math, yeah.
That's something that I've heard as well.
Yeah, it's pretty trippy, man.
Yeah.
It's pretty, and you know, this is stuff that I don't even know how to even begin to understand some of that stuff. I mean, that's just so.
It's just beyond my fucking. I mean, dedicating your life to that, I feel like you'd have some grasp of understanding of that or understanding of that.
There's a guy named Robert Grant, and he lives in he lives in Laguna Beach, I think, and he's a mathematician. But he also, I believe, he is a mathematician. But I've recently watched his social media pages blow up,
Nice.
and he's doing a lot with using mathematics to study Egypt, to study Da Vinci's paintings.
Yep.
Essentially applying algorithms and different mathematical sequences to these old pieces of art and these ancient sites. And it seems like he's, you know, digging up some pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah.
I would, you know, he seems like a pretty cool cat. He seems super smart. I would recommend if what we're talking about right now has piqued the curiosity of anybody listening, I would definitely suggest that they look up Robert Edward Grant.
Nice.
And check out his stuff. It seems that he does groups like tours to Egypt. You know.
Okay.
Takes people out there. You were just in Egypt recently.
Yeah, I was in Egypt January of last year, and it was mind blowing, dude. I didn't have a plan. I just went there by myself. But it was so sketchy just landing at the airport. I didn't even have an Uber set up.
Yeah.
And people were just hitting me up, hey, do you need a ride? Do you need a ride? And obviously, it's a different culture. I don't speak the language, and it felt kind of scary, bro.
Dude, it sounds like it, man. You ended up getting a ride, like everything went smooth?
Yeah, everything went smooth. I went to my hostel, just roamed around. I met this tour guide, Rashid, and
shout out Rashid.
Shout out Rashid.
Yep.
And he gave me a tour of the Bent Pyramid. I actually went inside.
The Bent Pyramid?
Bent Pyramid and the
Why
Red Pyramid.
Is it bent?
It's bent. So I don't know how far it is from Giza, which is where the Great Pyramids are located.
Okay.
But that Bent Pyramid, from what I remember, it was built before the Great Pyramid, and they were trying to perfect the angles to get it right in order to get it to a certain point, you know. But they were off on their math, and it came out bent. So that's why they call it the Bent Pyramid. Yeah.
It came out bent. Dude, yeah. Imagine being the guy. Imagine being the dude who was in charge of that project. And he's like, all right, put the last stone on. And then he's like, all right. And he stands back and he looks at it. And he's like, fuck.
Fuck, dude. I done goofed.
He's like, this is fucking bent. He's like, oh, where did I go wrong? Off with his head.
Yeah.
Dude, but you know what? That's interesting, man. Because that, like, now we're talking about Egypt. And it kind of just brings us back to the whole math thing, man.
Yeah.
You know, they were able to connect everything through astronomy and mathematics.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems to me like mathematics is a big part of astronomy and understanding like the stars.
Yeah.
So they were like lining those pyramids up, and even like Stonehenge is like lined up with certain like eclipses. Like that's crazy, man.
Yes, there were master astronomers, master astrologists.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
It's pretty interesting, man. And now, I mean, I don't really have any astronomical knowledge. I don't think I really learned much about astronomy in school, but, these old societies and these old cultures, especially these mystery schools,
Mm-hmm.
dude, they had a huge value on astronomy. Like, that was very important to them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of interesting that we don't really study it much now.
Yeah. Kind of going back to like the Bent Pyramid and the Red Pyramid. So apparently, there's underground tunnels that lead from there. It's all the way to the Great Pyramids, and like that's even fucking mind blowing. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's the sort of the legend from what I was told over there. So
Really?
Yeah.
What do you think
dude, and seeing the fucking granite that was precisely cut.
Yeah.
Like you can't even fit a credit card in those like blocks that were stacked together.
Really?
Like,
They're that smooth?
They're that smooth.
Dude.
And to say that I guess the current scientific consensus is that they were not barbarians, but
just like stupid people
Yeah,
who
yeah.
didn't know anything.
Yeah.
Definitely doesn't make sense. That's definitely not the story that I'm gonna stick with. I have a friend in Nashville. His name is William Henry, and he does that show Ancient Aliens.
That's sick.
And
It's not that dude with the crazy hair.
No, it's not him. He's got cooler hair. He's still got some crazy hair, but it's not as crazy as that guy. I think that guy's name is George.
Okay. Shout out George.
Shout out George. Yeah, he's definitely built a brand for himself. But dude, William would definitely say, and all those guys in that show would definitely say that some aliens or something built those pyramids, man. And this is a conversation that I guess that a lot of people have had.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm like open to really any idea of it. I think that some people have put together models that show how it would be possible to do that. I mean, who knows? Maybe human beings were just like a lot physically stronger back then,
Mm-hmm.
because we've definitely been evolving since then. So maybe like our muscles were just different, and we were actually able to pull that shit off. Who knows, man?
Who knows? But something that kind of makes sense is in order to, or the quote, it's like those who control history control the present, and it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's some sort of something weird going on, you know?
Yeah, man. No, that's definitely. I remember. I thought it was kind of funny. I remember like this. It was like this meme on the internet, and it was out of some like textbook, and it just had like it was like a part about the Egyptians.
Yeah.
And it just had some white dude with like oh nice dude.
You got split screen going on.
It just had like some white dude, some like very European looking dude with like a pharaoh thing on.
Oh shit.
And that was how this textbook was depicting Egyptians.
No fucking way, bro.
I thought it was funny. It was kind of a funny meme.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Like whoever controls history controls the narrative. So, clearly the Egyptians were very smart and were able to figure out things that we were not able to figure out. Clearly there was also some sort of a spiritual thing going on where these people, I don't know if it was because they didn't have all the distractions that we have now, but it would appear to me that the spiritual component of life was far more of a priority than it is now. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, I've been wrong about things before. This is just my opinions and my perspectives.
Yeah.
But it would seem. I mean, they definitely had something figured out, man.
Yeah, and I forgot where I got this quote from, where it's the farther away we get from God, it's like I don't know, I don't remember the quote. Anyways, but I kind of see that in the current moment. It's like we're not in tune with ourselves. It's like worldwide.
Yeah, I would agree, man. I would agree.
Yeah.
I think that it's one of the first reasons why that's happening is because people aren't living naturally anymore. So people are moving into more cities and consuming more processed foods, and they're like straying away from a natural form of life.
Mm-hmm.
For me, man, I have my most, I guess maybe spiritual moments, you could say, or just like times where I feel very like close to my creator.
Yeah.
Is when I'm outside.
Yeah.
In nature.
Definitely.
Pretty much like that's pretty much where I feel like the closest I can get to God is when I'm in nature. And then and I think that people I think that people don't spend enough time in nature. People are not living in accordance. We're living like against nature actually. It's kind of what's going on.
Yeah.
We're even like the architecture that's happening nowadays, very like square, very bland. Like it's not beautiful, man. Like nature is beautiful.
Like we talked about this yesterday, where in nature, anywhere besides, again, I don't know if this is a fact or not, but anywhere other than crystals, there's no other 90-degree angles that's formed in nature, rather than in society, like these buildings, these walls that are like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure about that, but
I don't know what to do with that information right now. I mean, but it makes sense.
It does make sense.
We're definitely living against nature. Where we're like, I mean, dude, people worry about like global warming. People worry that we're killing the earth. Dude, I know one thing for sure, and that's that, dude, we are not going to kill the earth. Dude, the earth would kill us far before we could kill the earth. If we fuck up, it's not the earth that we're destroying. It's going to be humanity. The earth the earth can take whatever we throw at it. The earth's been around for a very long time, and it's pretty big, and it's pretty strong. If we go too far with our industrialism and we, set off some giant earthquake or something, we are going to die. The earth is going to keep going. That's my belief on that. So Mother Nature, we like to think that we're in control, right? We like to think that we're ahead of the game. We like to think that we are beating nature. And, maybe Mother Nature is like kind of letting us have our way a little bit.
Yeah.
But every now and then, she kind of throws something at us. Every now and then a tornado comes and fucks something up. Every now and then there's a flood, and it humbles us.
So there's this fucking thing that I'm bouncing around in my head where when humans start manipulating nature like we are now, like manipulating the weather, maybe it wants to strike back at us.
Dude, yeah. Well,
I don't know. This is ideas that I'm bouncing around in my head.
So, well, I agree, but I think there's a reason. I don't think it's necessarily because, I don't know, maybe nature does have like a consciousness, but there's the concept. We were talking yesterday about Hermeticism, right?
Yeah.
And there's like these 7 Hermetic principles, right? And these are pretty much just like 7 laws, like natural laws of humanity and laws of nature. And one of them is the law of polarity. And it pretty much says that nature is constantly on a pendulum, and it's swinging back and forth. And if we choose to push that pendulum too far one way, then it's going to swing back equally the other way.
Yeah.
So if we push things to there, like life in the world is always going to find an equilibrium. It's like our bodies are always trying to find homeostasis. There's always a center point that things are going to return to.
Yeah.
So if we want to like push things too far one way, at some point the law of cause and effect, what goes up must go down. At some point, it's going to have to swing back the other way. So I would agree with you.
Yeah.
I would agree that nature fights back, not because it's angry or not because it's like upset, but because it's just the way that it works. And it's just the law of polarity. And that pendulum is constantly going to be swinging. This is like, it's like also the whole idea with like ice ages and like heat waves and shit,
Yeah.
Like throughout time, like there's been ice ages, there's been periods where the earth gets hot, like things are always going back and forth, man.
Yeah. And kind of going along with the 7 Hermetic principles in your book, the first chapter, right, is all is mental.
Yeah. That's like an idea out of the Kabbalion, which is
Kabbalion, yeah.
it's a pretty interesting book. That book's got an interesting story, the Kabbalion. So it's authored by like the three initiates, right? It's like, but it's really just one dude who wrote that. I don't know if you know. It's just one dude who wrote that under a pseudonym. I forgot the guy's name. But yeah, dude, all is mental. That's at least that's that idea. And that really just brings us back to the whole, really what started this conversation, where we're talking about the idea of like the secret, right?
Yep.
And how like our mind is constantly interacting with the world around us. So that idea, all is mental, dude, it really just says that, your thoughts in your inner space is more powerful than you realize.
Yeah.
And what goes on inside of you, what kind of thoughts you entertain, what kind of environment you cultivate in your inner being is very, very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
Far more important than anything that somebody could do to you externally. So, that's why, like, nowadays, man, like, building, like, a strong, like, resilience, building willpower, building fortitude, just having, like, a very, like, solid inner space where even if people want to fuck with you, even if people want to, like, try to throw you off or do something to you, you just kind of keep yourself centered because you took time to, like, develop that internally. That's valuable, man.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a lot of things nowadays that are that want to throw that off. And certain forms of technology, like certain forms of social media, fuck with our dopamine receptors.
Yep.
And throw us off internally. Certain chemicals in food and water. If Rich was in here, he'd have something to say about that.
Shout out Rich.
Shout out Rich.
He'll be here soon.
Yeah, certain chemicals in food and water can throw off our internal space. Things like porn, dude, that one's fucking gnarly.
Yeah.
Poison.
Yeah.
So like anything like that essentially grabs you at like your deepest nature, like lust. That's like a very like primitive instinct, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like food, hunger, thirst, lust, like anything that grabs a hold of you at one of those like really deep primal things.
Yeah.
They can control you pretty easily, man. It's good tequila, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Shout out to Moji because it was a gift from Moji. So
I'm gonna stand up and get some more of it here in a minute.
Grab some.
Yeah, man. No, anything that so that we really need to focus on protecting that space, that internal space. And at least for me, I've developed that through mindfulness, which is a very broad term, but more specifically through meditation. Like, dude, you'd be surprised, like, if you sit down and close your eyes for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Just don't do anything. You'd be surprised at, like, what you discover. What you discover about yourself, the types of thoughts that come into your head, the types of ideas that just appear out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Things coming together, you realizing certain circumstances. Dude, you would be really surprised, man. And I mean, I'm sure you have experience with this, but like some people haven't sat down and closed their eyes ever unless they're going to sleep.
Yeah.
When you do it consciously,
or even like slow down or recognize that inner voice or that.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
That inner voice, man. Yeah, when you listen to it, it's very smart. It's very wise.
Yeah.
And it usually knows what to do.
Yeah, and man, and going along with the book. So what inspired you for that to be the first chapter?
Well, yeah. So I think that first chapter is titled "Our Minds." Well, I think I started with that because we've all got one.
Yeah.
It's something that's been with us since we were born. It's going to be with you hopefully until you die, unless you get, unfortunately, if you get, Alzheimer's or something comes after that. So your mind is something that it's always with us. It's something that we're never really taught to be mindful of and to learn how to control. In like public school, like I never learned how to like meditate or how to reflect or like self-awareness. That's not something that was ever taught to me. So everybody has one. We have it until we die. It's something that nobody's really taught to be aware of or to study or discover for themselves. And I think that it definitely has the biggest return on investment when it comes to like putting the time in to actually develop it. I think it's the best thing that you can do is to empower yourself, to empower your mind, and through that to empower your soul. But your mind is kind of like it's like the expression of the soul, but it's also like a vehicle, like a channel to the soul.
Yeah.
So I think that like, you know, if you gotta spend your time working on one thing, if you work on your brain and you work on developing it, it's gonna take you far, man.
Yeah. And I think we were in that chapter, or it was another chapter, and I've read this before, where the subconscious and the conscious mind, you're operating on a small amount of your conscious mind, but it's more your subconscious, like your habits, your thoughts that play in the background of your head. It's like working on those subconscious thoughts.
Yeah.
I think that's where it's good to work on.
Yeah, man. No, I mean it's it's pretty interesting. Yeah, like we have the things that we think about consciously, and like, but since we were kids, since we were like, I'm not a psychologist, so
Yeah, I'm not either.
you know, but I definitely would recommend. You know, Jordan Peterson's got a lot of good material on this, but we essentially have this system that's running in the background of our lives, our whole lives, that is dictating most of what we do. A portion of that is just habits and instinct, you know, survival, sex, food. So a lot of it is that. But also a lot of it is just stuff that we've picked up over the years from like certain trauma as a kid, you know, going certain places, you know, doing certain things. So we have this, and it really is most likely what runs us. We like to think that we're like in control of what we do, but a lot of people will tell you that most of what we do is predetermined by our subconscious drives.
Yeah.
And
fear,
fear of loss,
fear of ill health,
fear of ill health,
poverty,
fear of FOMO, fear of missing out.
FOMO, yeah.
Yeah, dude, all these things that are like playing in the background.
Yeah.
So the idea is how do you go in and drill into your subconscious and change that? How do you change your operating system so that you are now operating with a different program in the background?
Yeah.
That's kind of the idea of. I don't have all the answers.
So instead of using Windows, you'll upgrade to Mac.
Yeah, Windows upgrade to Mac. How do we upgrade our Windows to Mac? Public school, yeah, dude. Public school gave us Windows.
Yeah.
How do we upgrade to Mac? That's maybe a good way to put it. I don't know. I had Windows for a long time. I just got my first MacBook recently. Yeah. I don't think I've really like dug in, but that's a good way to visualize it.
Yeah.
So, you know, this is what Napoleon Hill talks about, and this is the whole idea of personal development.
Yeah.
You know, so for me, how was I able to change, you know, parts of my subconscious? And what happens is when you change, so like meditate. I know I keep going back to it, man, but meditation.
Yeah.
You know, actually taking time to sit with yourself. I really am a big proponent of that, man. Yeah. Taking time to sit with yourself, whether it's with your eyes closed, your eyes open, whatever. But sitting, even if you're just going on a walk, but to go inside your own head and to bathe in your thoughts, so much can come from that. And you know, there's also like physical things to do to change your subconscious. Like, you know, if you notice, man, like when you wake up in the morning, like you probably do the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Most people have
it's like sort of a routine.
Morning, yeah. And most people just do the same thing. You know, I even it is funny, man. I even notice that like when I get out of the shower, right, and I grab my towel, I literally do the same thing every single time with a towel. You probably do it too.
No, yeah, I do, man.
Like
I
it's
just
literally
wake up.
it's like 1, 2, 3, and then it's like I literally counted like I literally do like the same motions.
Yeah.
It's like I'm playing back this like record.
Yeah.
There's nothing like original happening when I'm drying myself off. I'm just repeating something. So that's something that's coming from my subconscious. So one way that you can challenge your subconscious and shake it up a little bit is to attack the surface level things like that. So let's say it's when I get out of the shower, I'm gonna actually like instead of starting from the top, I'm gonna dry myself off from the bottom up.
Yeah.
Which
just
is like
up. You gotta
totally different.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna force myself to do that, and when I do that, my subconscious is gonna say, "Wait a second, no, this isn't what we've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
This is something new. What's going on?" And you're gonna kind of shake it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you're gonna, the idea is that you're gonna send like a shockwave through all of it, and you're gonna open up your channels of perception. You're gonna open up your ability to change some of those other habits.
And
little stuff like that.
Then it goes back to the idea of free will. It's like when we operate off of that free will of making our own decisions, then we are able to control where our path in life leads to.
Yeah, and if there's one thing, dude, the biggest one, man, this whole like self-mastery game, which I think is what this is all about, dude, learning to subdue your passions. Learning to control your animalistic instincts.
Mm-hmm.
And really focusing, sex, celibacy, man. I've done stints of celibacy. It's powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Sex, food, emotions. If you can stop yourself from being controlled by your sexual desires, if you can get a grasp on those, if you can stop yourself from eating bad food because your body craves it, if you can get over that hump and get away from that. I can't remember the last time I went through a drive-through. And that's not like I don't want to say that in like a self-grandizing way, because, dude, I love Taco Bell.
I'm not a fan.
Dude, I loved Taco Bell growing up. It was just something that I ate all the time. But when I started to really focus more on the concept of developing myself, when I started to meditate more, when I started to become more mindful, my desire for Taco Bell left. I no longer desired it. And that's kind of another example of something in my subconscious that changed. I just didn't. It wasn't like it's not like I had to. It's not like I had to discipline myself from eating it.
Yeah.
It was like my actual desires, subconscious desires, changed. And it's because I set my sights on something else.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to fight the urge to eat Taco Bell anymore.
Yeah.
I just stopped craving. I stopped wanting it because I was on a different mission at that point. So discipline is hard, dude. Willpower, we only have so much willpower. This is why these like super productive CEOs wear the same thing every day. Do you know this? So they wear like the same, like some of these guys who wear the same shirt every day. The reason why a lot of these guys do it is because they believe that when we wake up, we have a certain amount of willpower. And every time you make a decision,
burning more energy,
you burn some of that willpower, and by the end of the day, you can't make good decisions. Yeah. So to wake up and have to decide what to wear, you're actually wasting willpower. So some of these guys don't even want to waste willpower on deciding what to wear. Instead, they're going to wear the same thing every single day, and they're going to use that willpower to come up with something else. So like discipline and willpower is very hard.
Mm-hmm.
What is easier is to change your direction, to change your priorities, because our subconscious mind builds itself around what we focus on.
Yeah. And
when you focus on, if you have like a plan, you have something you want to create, you have a book that you want to write, you have a business, a milestone that you want to get with your business.
Yeah.
When you focus on that, When you lock in your brain on that, your mind is going to change to see that thing becomes real.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the idea of like idleness is the devil's playground. When you don't have something that you're aiming for, when you don't have a purpose, when you're not on a mission, you're just gonna fuck around, and you're gonna get distracted. You're gonna fall to your passions. You're gonna want.
Yo, it's Rich.
Yeah, come on in.
Yo.
It's a good time to get more tequila.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Coffee for the man. This is, I believe, this is your one here.
Say what's up to the pod.
What's up, guys?
Which camera is it?
Good time to grab more tequila.
Hello, how we
Rich.
doing?
Got some more tequila. You know what?
You want some more?
Rich, you want to talk to him for a little bit? I'm gonna use the restroom.
Sure.
Yeah.
I would love to. How's it going?
What up, bro? Take a seat, man. So we were talking about the importance of having goals in life, really.
Definitely.
That's kind of what we were talking about. We were talking about how when you don't have something that you're aiming for, you just kind of distract yourself with pleasure and bullshit.
Yeah, indulgence.
And how at the end of the day, man, like one of the best things that we can do, in my opinion, as people, is to have a goal, is to set some sort of mission or objective, because then, not only are you actually working towards something, but in the process of doing that, you're going to change your mind's operating system, and your entire personality and your entire being is going to change to see that thing becomes real. And if it's a worthwhile goal, you'll change for the better. Now, maybe you have a goal that's not so good, right?
That's a great point.
Maybe you want to hurt a lot of people, or you want to do something. There's been people throughout history who do that and still pull off crazy shit. But if you set your sights on something good, and you decide that it's something that's worth living for, then that there's going to be a big process of transformation that's going to take place while you chase that. So I think that a lot of the times the best way we can transform ourselves, the best way that we can shape who we are, is by setting these strategic, intentional goals, and then understanding that through that process, there's going to be shifts that take place. I'm going to drink some coffee too.
Yeah, man. Oh, you get back in here.
Cool.
I totally agree, though. The times when I've been growing the most and moving towards just being a better person and really just enjoying life more is when I was moving towards the goals.
Yeah.
You want some more?
I order this every single time.
Yeah,
Nice. All year.
I don't think I even finished this.
Only during,
Oh, you can't finish it?
Christmas and fall. But as soon as it comes in, I order it.
We're recording?
Yeah, we're live.
Cool.
Oh, you know what? Do you need to use the restroom before we go?
I'm good.
Good? Alright.
You need to go?
Thank you. No, I'm good. I just went. Just want to make sure so that there's no other breaks or anything in between.
I like the way you set up the camera. You can't even tell.
Alright.
That's
Smooth.
crazy.
I should maybe sit like this if we're going to have the camera like that.
Yeah.
Because then I'm facing you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
I guess we've been recording like this the whole time, so I might as well not change it now.
It's all good. Alright. Oh, yeah. Kind of leave it cracked open. Alright, we're back.
All right, we're back. We
Do you
got some
remember-
coffee.
Do you remember what we were talking about?
Dude, I think I was just rambling on.
How do you like the headphones in the ear, like the voice in the ears?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know, man. I think.
Hello. It feels more intimate. I feel like it feels more intimate, and you could really understand what they're trying to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I haven't decided yet.
Okay.
This is my first time talking to somebody through headphones,
Oh, okay.
so that's probably why. It's a little strange for me.
Yeah. But very good way to have a conversation, and we were talking about how people are going through their life, not really slowing down, and these podcast conversations are really good because how often do people sit down and just talk like
Yeah.
and have hour-long conversations?
Yeah, no, it's
cool.
Yeah, I
It's
like.
really cool.
I'm a big fan of like architecture, right?
Yeah.
And if you look at like houses from like the '70s, they all have these like conversation pits. Have you seen a conversation pit?
I have not.
Dude, when you get a chance, you should look up what a conversation pit looks like.
Let's look it up right now.
Yeah, look up a conversation pit.
All right. Conversation pit.
Yeah.
This is a conversation starter talking about conversation pits.
Yeah, man. It's just like instead of like your whole living room being centered around a TV, you have this space in your house that is just
Bro.
a bunch of seats facing each other, where people can sit and talk.
Yo, fucking.
Are you looking at
in the
it?
future, in my house will definitely be a conversation pit. I want to.
Which one are you looking at? Let me see.
This one actually looks pretty dope. It's green.
Yeah, dude, look at that.
Yeah.
Isn't that fucking awesome?
Let's show them.
Can they see it? Oh shit. It needs to focus. Yeah, dude.
There you go.
Look at that. Conversation pit. It's pretty dope, man.
So you've had conversations in conversation pits before?
No. No. I've never seen one in real life, I don't think.
Damn, man. Like now I want a conversation pit in my house, and I kind of want a skate park in my backyard as well.
Damn.
That'd be fucking tight.
That'd be pretty cool. I don't skate.
No.
No, I never was able to get it down.
Like I've skated like a little bit, but it's just when you start jumping stairs and like ollie kick flipping stairs, that's another level right there.
Yeah, man. I just remember when I was a kid, I was up on this half pipe, or maybe it was. I don't think it was a half pipe. It was just like a drop in, and I was up, and I don't know, dude. It was just I felt I was too high up. I was just scared, man. I was just when I was a kid, man. I was more of like a nervous boy. I wasn't as brave. So I was up there, and I just it was just too fucking high up. I had a fear of heights. I couldn't drop in.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it. And I don't know, man. I just never was able to skate.
Man, and one thing that if you catch it, it's like you have to commit 100% in order to actually land the trick. Like you have to commit without fear, and I think that's a huge a life lesson as well. It's like,
Yep.
And if you catch it, it's like you can carry on to other aspects of your life too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
man,
but I mean, yeah.
For me, man, it was
I was scared shitless as well too.
Yeah. It was just a time where I just wasn't able to overcome my fear.
Yeah.
You know.
But that's just one aspect of the sport. I mean, cross country taught me a lot too. It's overcoming your mind.
Yeah.
When your body's screaming, "I want to stop," it's like it's a mental override to just keep going. I feel like.
Yeah, I played football.
Yeah.
I played football, and I was pretty slow. I think I may have actually been slower than all of our linemen.
Were you QB? You said, I think.
Yeah, and played a little bit of tight end.
Okay.
But dude, yeah, like when we did conditioning, when we'd run.
Yeah.
Dude, holy shit, man. You really have to get over it. You were like bear crawls.
Oh,
like
fuck.
100-yard bear crawls. You're just on your hands and your feet.
It's like PTSD right there.
Dude, that's pretty hardcore, man. That's pretty serious.
Yeah.
But I think that it's important. Like, I think that everybody at some point should do some sort of physical training. Some sort of hard physical training. Just mind, body, spirit, dude.
Yep.
It just comes down to, like, focusing on all three of those.
Yep.
Not, like, over-focusing on one of them and neglecting the other one.
Mm-hmm.
So every person, every human being should have some sort of a physical exercise regimen in their life.
For sure.
It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if you're good at it. It doesn't matter if you can, squat 400 pounds or you can squat 40 pounds. But if you're working out and lifting weights is probably or running, those are like two easy ones to get access to. Like there's gyms everywhere. Like you can lift weights in any city. You can find a place to lift weights. It's also just good for like your testosterone levels. But every single person should have some sort of physical exercise regimen, and there's no excuse not to. There really is no excuse not to. And at the end of the day, man, when we're super old and when your body's falling apart or your body is just, you're fucked up because you didn't move it around enough, you're going to wish that you were working out.
Yeah, or let's paint a scenario where there's a giant ass EMP and takes out all of our electronics.
Damn, we just fucking went for it, didn't we?
Yeah.
Damn, we're going deep.
We're going deep. And there was a fucking shit hit the fan type shit.
Alright, I'm there.
And, it's more, we would have to rely a lot on our mental and our physical stature, or is that how you say, like,
Posture, stature, yeah.
Stature. We'd have to fucking run away from people that are trying to kill us. We'd have to have social awareness. We'd have to get on groups to survive.
You would need to, it would definitely be very primitive.
Yeah.
It would definitely be where do you think where would you go, bro? Like, so let's say okay, look. Let's say it happens right now. Like, we're sitting here making this podcast, and all of a sudden we get this notification. It's like, yo, what would maybe, like, let's say that Russia, like Red Dawn scenario, right?
Yeah.
Let's say Russia is invading the continental United States.
Wow.
Because we're in California right now, so let's say that, like,
right on the coast.
Let's say that maybe Russia's on the East Coast, and maybe China is coming in on the West Coast.
Holy fuck.
And we get this notification. It's like, yo, like, we are under attack. What's your plan? What are you doing right now?
What am I doing? Okay, so I would hit up a bunch of homies and definitely assemble a group.
Okay.
And, gather.
You're going to call them, text them, like, what are you going to do?
Oh, that is a good question.
How are you going to get in touch with them?
Well, since it's happening right now, like, this is our group right now.
Yeah, so.
So, this is our group. We have Rich, the water guy.
Yeah, it's pretty much us, man. I don't think we wouldn't have time to get the homies involved.
No, and then we have, we have an AR in there. We have a 12-gauge shotgun. We have a 9mm in there. And we have a crossbow right there. So those are our defense systems.
So we got four things. Okay, so which one does Natalie get?
Natalie, I would say shotgun, kind of
yeah,
I would give her the shotgun because there's a very good explanation why. You don't really need to aim that much for a shotgun. It just
Are you saying she can't aim, bro? What do you
I mean just
What are you trying to say about her aim, bro?
It's easy. That's all I'm saying. It's easy.
I've never shot guns.
With the AR, you got the scope and the 9mm.
Yeah, dude, I think that's a good idea. Wait, the 9mm is a handgun or
handgun? Yeah.
Okay, give her the. I don't know if she.
Right.
That's a very strong gun for a small woman.
Oh, you're right.
I'd say give Natalie the handgun. I don't know, man.
Either way.
All I know is y'all's California AR-15s are just wonky as fuck, man.
I agree.
I remember my first time seeing a California AR-15. My buddy, I was with my buddy, Josh, and he said, "Hey, I've got some guns. You want to see them?" I said, "Yeah." And he pulls out this AR-15, and it has like a tiny magazine. It's like very small,
yeah.
And it's got this grip on it that is. You know what I'm talking about.
Fin grip. It's a fin grip.
What's it called?
Fin grip.
A fin grip.
Yeah.
And I was like, what in the fuck is this, man? Like, it didn't make any sense to me. And then he's like, oh, yeah, in California, like, all of our guns have to be like, all of our rifles have to be like this. Kalashnikovs, too? You guys, like, Kalashnikovs have to have a fin grip like that? An AK?
AK?
All rifles?
I think, yeah, all rifles.
There's no pistol grips whatsoever.
It's essentially what makes an assault, like, an AR, are the bad people parts where, like, you can't have a fucking vertical foregrip. You can't have a flash hider. You can't have, more than 10 rounds in your magazine.
10 rounds?
Yeah.
That's what it is, 10 rounds.
10 rounds, that's the limit. And apparently those are the bad parts that make up the AR, which these bad people use to kill people with.
Yeah. Dude, I don't know, man. That's
But and then it goes down to like constitutionally, like if it was fought in the courts, would that really stand up compared to the Second Amendment, which is the right to bear arms, and would that stand up in the federal court? I don't know.
Well, I don't know either, man. I'm not very well versed
I'm not either.
in politics. I mean, I think that once you start letting like opinions dictate politics, it's a really tough one, man. Gun control, like, I mean, at this point, I think it's good that we have guns, that the people have guns.
Yeah.
I definitely think it's good that, because, you know, like historically, what we see is like before like real dictatorships can get control over their population, they take the guns away.
Here's a current example: Australia.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Yeah, what they're going through.
They don't have any guns in Australia?
No, they had a buyback program where you'd turn in your gun and they'll buy it back from you.
Yeah.
The government would. And I mean, just look what they're going through now. Being forced into COVID camps. If you don't go inside this COVID camp, you'll be taken in a COVID taxi, or you'll get fined $5,000.
The COVID taxi where they literally come and kidnap you?
Yeah, pretty much. Or you'll get fined. If you don't want to go, you'll get fined $5,000.
Yeah.
I mean, holy shit. That's actually happening right now.
Australia.
What the fuck?
Australia used to be like cool, man. Australia used to be like a pretty free place, pretty chill place. It started as a prison colony.
Yeah, you want to talk about that? What?
It's my understanding that Australia started as an English prison colony, and they would put criminals there. It's just a place to keep them, I guess, or something. I don't. And now it's now back to being a prison colony. I don't know, man. I don't know, dude. I don't know what the future holds. It definitely is. It definitely is probably not in the best interest of all of the people. And this is just another example of why I strongly believe that the sooner you cultivate that inner space, the sooner you cultivate some sort of an inner peace that is not subject to the things going on around you, the better it's going to be to endure some of this stuff. I mean, if you're constantly getting emotionally set off by things going on around you, then the next like 5-10 years, you're going to be a mess. But if you can develop some sort of a stoic personality, if you can develop yourself into a person who isn't bothered by much, and if you dive deep and you come to some sort of a relationship with God, whatever that may be, doesn't have to necessarily be like the Christian God, but some sort of relationship with divinity that transcends the material world.
Yeah.
This place is chaos, dude. This place is chaos. So you have to develop a relationship with something that transcends it. And if you can do that, then you have the potential to avoid a lot of the pain and suffering that this place has to offer.
I like this Bible verse. I'm going to terribly fucking quote this, but it's in this world, not of it. Be not conformed to this world and
yeah, be in the world, not of it.
Yeah. And dude, I think that's like one great lesson to learn from that. Yeah. It's like, I don't know, create your own world.
The temple not built with hands, eternal in thy heavens. So yeah, man, just that inner space, man.
Yeah.
That's what the whole book's about, really. It's like
dude.
The whole book is just about the different components to building that inner space. And really, like, more so, like, this book is talking about certain virtues and morals that really relate to either how we interact with ourselves or how we interact with other people. But then, you know, when you get into, like, some more of these, like, spiritual traditions, it's about actually diving in and studying, like, the spiritual world and understanding the things that we cannot see. Because
that was another chapter, right?
What we can see, the faith in the unseen. I think it was the last, or gratitude may have been the last chapter. But going back to Kabbalah, mystical Judaism, you know, one of the lessons that students of Kabbalah are taught is that what we can see and experience with our five senses is just 1% of what's real. And 99% of creation, 99% of what is real exists outside of our five senses. We're not able to perceive it. So that's pretty crazy.
That is pretty crazy.
It's pretty humbling.
It is.
It makes you feel very small, which it should. It should
Definitely.
It should humble you, but it should also really more so it should like inspire you. It should be totally awe-inspiring, and it should give you faith that there is something bigger going on. And just because you don't understand it, just because I don't understand it, just because we don't understand it, doesn't mean that it's not working. And regardless, how chaotic things may seem down here, how bad things may look. There's actually a cool like little story that kind of summarizes this point. It's like, so there's this old man, right?
Mm.
And one day his son is out in the wild and ends up capturing these wild horses. And he brings them back to the farm. And he says, "Look, Pa, like, I got us some horses. Isn't this great?" And he says, "Well, we'll see." He says, "What do you mean? No, this is fantastic." He's like, "Well, we'll see." And so he has these horses, and then one day, one of the horses escapes, right? And the boy says, "Oh my God, this is terrible." And the man says, "Well, we'll see. We'll see." And the boy goes, and the boy gets the horse, and he's able to find it. And he's like, "Oh, this is great." And the man's like, "We'll see." The boy's riding the horse. The boy falls off. The horse breaks his leg. And he says, "Oh my God, this is so terrible." And what does the old man say? He says, "We'll see." Totally neutral. And he's like, "What do you mean? Like, I just broke my leg. Like, this is awful. Like, how can you say that this is? How can you not understand that this is a bad thing?" The next day, the army comes and drafts everybody in the town who's physically able to fight in a war. And because the boy has a broken leg, he isn't drafted.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the point of that story is that really, regardless how good or how bad something seems, you really never have any idea, because we can't predict the future, and we can't predict what bigger picture is taking place.
Yeah.
And when you just kind of find that neutral zone, when you develop that inner space and kind of ground yourself in that, you can just kind of do your thing, man, and you don't really go through many ups and downs, I guess.
Yeah, man. And adding on to that, it's like if you get stuck in the past, like you can definitely get stuck there in the future as well. But if you're in the present moment, I think you can make decisions in order to affect your future in a positive way if you have that mindset.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah.
Self-sacrificing things in the moment for things in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier with like, just chasing pleasure.
Yeah.
Like usually that's like that's choosing things in the moment over things in the future.
But it feels good.
It feels good. But sometimes it feels really good. And it feels good. But that's the thing, man. When you sacrifice those things now, depending on if you're aiming at something, if you have some sort of a purpose in your life,
yeah,
then it's worth making those sacrifices now. Now, if you don't have like a purpose, if you're not aiming for anything in your life, then you really have no reason to delay gratification, because you don't have anything to look forward to. But when you have something that you're aiming for, when you have some sort of a goal, now you have a reason to sacrifice things now for things later.
Yeah, it's like just seeing the bigger picture, pretty much.
You see the bigger picture. Not only that, but you actually are in control. You not only do you see the bigger picture, but you are dictating that picture.
Yeah.
And you are writing your own story.
Yeah, and kind of to put in another analogy where, like a basketball team where there's 82 games in a season, something like that, and when you can celebrate one win, but there's 81 games left in the season, and to get to that championship. And if you focus on just one win, you're not gonna see, what you have to progress on. You're not gonna see the failures that you need to, the shit that you do need to work on.
Yeah. Dude, that reminds me of like the Kobe Bryant video I saw. I don't remember exactly what it was like in the playoffs. I think it was.
Yeah, somebody's celebrating, right?
I think they were.
Yeah.
No, I think they were up. I think they were up like 3-2 or something in a 7 games. I think it's a 7-game series in the NBA.
Yeah.
I think they were up like 3-2, right? And it was some sort of like a press conference scenario. And the guy was talking to Kobe. He's like, "Why aren't you celebrating? Like this is, you guys just won. Why aren't you celebrating?" He job's not done.
Yeah.
Job's not done. Why would I celebrate? Job's not done.
Mamba mentality.
Do you think about death often?
Well, I know that.
You ever contemplate?
Yeah, I have this tattoo, Memento Mori. Remember that you're gonna die.
Yeah, it's a pretty good one.
Yeah, so I do think about. I mean, it's not on like the forefront of my mind, but I have to remind myself like this is just a temporary experience that.
Yep.
And I think it helps me, man. Like, want to be a good person, want to be the best that I could be.
Are you okay dying?
I'm okay dying.
That's good.
But I can, if I was someone else, not living their true purpose, not aligned with their truth, I would be scared of dying, honestly, because I didn't live up to my potential. I didn't live up to what I wanted to do. But I feel, but I mean, I do see a future, obviously, longevity till I'm 70.
Yeah. Did you come up with that?
Nah, that was Jay-Z.
Oh, really?
Longevity till I'm 70.
But yeah, dude, no, and this is like, it's like an old.
It's a Masonic thing.
Yeah, it is. It's an old Stoic.
The chamber of reflection.
Meditative chamber of reflection. It's an old Stoic principle too, to reflect on one's death and to be okay with that. Like I for example, have like so here's an interesting meditation. Just close your eyes and attend your own funeral.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And really get vivid with the details, man. Go in and see yourself in a casket, and go into that experience. And what do you want people to say about you? What do you think that would look like? Because I think that when we do that, death, like especially in Western culture, man, like in the U.S., like somebody dies, we bury them, and we forget about it. Yeah. Or like in Mexico, the Day of the Dead, where you're more conscious of those who passed away, and there's more mindfulness around death. But here, it's just like somebody dies, and we just like get it over with, and we move on. So it's really something that's not really in most people's minds, and they don't really think about it. And then when it's time to die, they just are, or at some point, you experience like a midlife crisis where you realize, dude, I remember when I think the first time I ever like really tripped myself out on like an idea was when I was like 17, and I was just I was thinking, I was like, what's going to happen when I die? It's like, what's going to happen when I die? What's going to happen when I die? And I didn't have much of like a religious faith at the time. So all I could imagine was that when I die, it's all going to go black and I'm not going to exist anymore. And the idea of that was so fucking weird. And I just remember like tripping out on that for a couple days. Yeah. Just being so scared of like everything just coming to a stop. And me not even be able, like I would never even know that I'm dead. It was just like all of this that I'm experiencing would just stop.
Mm-hmm.
And well, now I don't believe that. Now I have a different opinion of that. But at the time, I remember that really scaring the shit out of me. Mm. And luckily for me, I was able to go through that when I was young. Strange noise. What is that?
So the owner, he's opening up the
Oh, okay.
packets. Yeah.
Okay.
Demons.
That sounds like that. At the time, like, fortunately for me, I wasn't like 60 when I went through that. You know, I was.
Oh, dude.
But some people, like, some people don't ever face death or the idea of death. If you're raised in a culture that doesn't really talk about it, some people don't face that or contemplate that until it's almost their time. Imagine how scary that would be, man.
Yeah, dude. I work at a hospital, and I pass by these patient rooms sometimes, and they're a little old. They're old, and I think about that. It's like, did they really live the life that they wanted to live? Did they do the things that they wanted to do? It's like, and if they didn't, man, I definitely 100% would try my best not to get to that point.
Yeah, so there was a study done on this. I can't recall all the information, but pretty much they were interviewing people who were on their deathbed, and most people don't regret the things that they do. Most of these people regretted more the things that they didn't do. That was like a repeated pattern. There weren't so many regrets about things done, but it was more so regretting not doing certain things that really got to most of the people they were interviewing. So that's just an example to just stop giving so many fucks.
Yeah.
Just do what you want to do. Be the person you want to be.
Definitely.
Don't regret the judgment of other people, man. That's one of the bigger things that hold people back, man. Is like, what are other people going to think of me? Dude, I already know that I'm ridiculous, so nobody can really prove that to me.
Yeah.
I already know that I'm.
Same.
I already know that I'm a fool most of the time, so.
I'm definitely a fool.
There's not really much that somebody could say about me that I probably haven't already said about myself. So, you know what I'm saying, dude?
All right. I want to kind of like get in more to the books. I don't think we even talked about it, bro. Like, we talked about the first chapter. Okay, so what was the process like? Did you have this idea like, yo, I want to write a book early on, or did you?
Dude, the process is quite strange. So I wrote that whole book in like 2.5, 3 weeks.
That's lit.
And I pretty much just like, I had the idea. I knew I wanted to talk about something. I knew that I wanted to produce something that could outlive me. I wanted to create something that could continue to make an impact if I died. And a book seemed to be a good medium to do that. So I was like, okay, I'll write a book. And then I was like, okay, what am I going to write about? What do I think society needs right now? Or what kind of need could I fill? And I look around and I think that our society is lacking morality, lacking a moral education. I put a quote in the front of that book from Teddy Roosevelt. Do you remember what it says?
You're testing my memory right now. I don't.
Dude, it's a good one. It says, to educate a man in the mind and not in morals is to educate or create a menace to society.
Shit.
So everybody's focused on like intellectual prowess, right? But there's not much taught about like ethics.
Yeah.
How should we treat people? How should we treat ourselves? What's the importance of how we treat people? It really depends where you live. I live in Nashville, so Southern hospitality is pretty cool, man. Like, everybody's pretty nice to each other.
Yeah.
But there's some cities, man, that are very narcissistic. So I was like, okay, I personally believe that society needs more morality. I think that people need to think more about how their actions impact others. And I was like, okay, cool. So what kind of morals are important to me? And I wrote a list down. I don't really remember the whole list right now, but honesty, zeal, integrity, all these concepts. Gratitude, really being the biggest one. Gratitude is the most important one in that book. It's also the easiest one. Being grateful is so easy. You don't even have to do anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't take any work to be grateful.
Definitely.
So I was like, oh, we got some drums in the background. Cool. Sweet, you got
Music.
a little soundtrack going.
Yeah. But
So,
you'll start hearing techno music soon.
really? Oh, is this place gonna open up tonight? And we're gonna hear him play soccer too.
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome, bro. So, so I was like, okay. I just made this list, and I was like, okay, what are my thoughts on these? And I just drank a lot of coffee. I got yerked up on caffeine. I think the caffeine really helped me like move my ideas around.
Mm.
So, and I just started typing, bro. I just started like throwing up ideas into the computer, and I would just type for hours and hours each day. Maybe not. I mean, maybe like I don't know, 3-4 hours a day, going back, editing here and there, maybe skip a day here and there. But after about 3 weeks of just kind of doing that, I had like 140 pages. It was the longest thing I'd ever written. Before that, maybe I wrote like a 5-page paper in like freshman English.
Mm.
So this is my first time ever like putting together something that had any sort of like length to it. And I was like, okay, so now I have 140 pages. I'm going to go through, and then I spend about the next like month or two actually taking things away, and editing things out. And then you have like the 112 pages that you have there.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a cool process, man. It really was not terribly hard. Anybody can write a book if they have something that they're passionate about, and they're willing to spend a little bit of time and sacrifice some of their time to put it together. But yeah, man, no, for me, man, it was I wanted to provide something to the world that extended beyond just myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I wrote that, man. And I know that there's like maybe other channels that are better nowadays. That's why I started like making more YouTube videos and stuff.
You know, I was thinking it would be fucking tight if you recorded it, like you read it yourself.
An audiobook.
An audiobook. That would be.
I wanted to get some chick with like a really sexy voice. Yeah. She's like, hello.
I wouldn't listen to it.
You wouldn't listen to it, bro?
I would listen to your voice.
What?
I would listen to your voice.
What?
I don't want to be seduced.
You don't want some hot chick to seduce you into being a moral, virtuous person?
No. I would want the author to seduce me.
Dude, I would be down to do. Yeah, edit that shit out too. Nana's over here like, oh my god. Dude, I would be down to. I'm not down to seduce you, but I am down.
Nice.
I am down to record my book.
That would be sick, dude. That would be really cool.
I would be down to do that. That would be cool, man. Yeah, audiobooks are pretty popular now. I started writing the next one. It's just the opposite of that one.
Mm.
So that one's talking about like good things, and this next one's just talking about bad things, vices, greed, lust, envy, jealousy, hate, fear. You know, pretty much like the shadow of what that one is.
Interesting.
Yeah.
7 deadly sins.
Yeah, man, all that stuff.
Yeah.
There's more than
Dude, tequila and coffee is an interesting combination, man.
Tequila, coffee, and I don't know if you took any, but I took mushrooms.
You took some mushrooms?
Yeah, and I was thinking about this earlier. It's like that's an interesting mix. Like, am I feeling the coffee? Am I feeling the tequila? Or am I feeling the mushrooms?
I don't know, man. All I know is you got this big ass bottle of lotion on your desk, and I don't know what the fuck it's for.
Hey, you know what, dude? You gotta stay hydrated, bro.
What?
Hydrated and moisturized.
Dude, if Rich was in here, he would be clapping for you, man.
Yeah.
What's your favorite item on this desk?
That's a fucking great question. It would have to be that centerpiece in there, the VR1HD, because
really?
It's what
Well,
we're
no.
using.
Aside from like technology, like what's your favorite item, like fun thing?
Oh, fun thing?
Yeah, just like anything that's not like we're not using right now.
That fucking fat Majin Buu right there.
Majin Buu?
Yeah. I just remember as a kid just growing up watching Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
And that specifically one of my favorite episodes because he would turn people to chocolate and he would eat people.
He's pretty powerful, isn't it?
He is pretty powerful. He was one of the most powerful, if not, I think he was the most powerful at the time. Fucking villain, dude.
Really?
Yeah.
Goku beat him?
Yeah, Goku and Vegeta actually had to fucking team up together and beat him, yeah.
Damn, dude. He is fat.
Yeah.
Turns people into chocolate.
Turns people to chocolate.
I like chocolate. I like dark chocolate.
Dark chocolate is really good. Healthy fats.
Dude, last night we were walking around Santa Barbara.
The fucking Turkish place,
dude,
bro.
We go into this Turkish delight place. Oh my god.
Holy
dude,
shit.
I had to go in because when I walked past, there were so many colors. Like, it looked like Willy Wonka's factory. Like, it was so inviting and so cool. I had to go inside and give them my money.
Yeah.
And we ended up eating some baklava and some Turkish dinner. It was delicious.
And I remember it being really bright, too. There was a bunch of lights, like...
It was super bright.
Really bright.
Super bright, yeah.
The people there were very kind.
Yes.
Dude.
Kindness. Friendliness goes a long way, man.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I don't like cities where people are mean to each other. There's really no reason for it. It doesn't take much. It doesn't take much energy to be a good person, to be nice to people. You know, I mean, it's okay to like set boundaries. It's okay to like, not let people take your time, but there's really never any reason to like be a dick to somebody, unless they're really like fucking with you. Then it's okay.
Shit.
It's okay, but
yeah,
there's really no reason to like, you know, just be like abrasive. I haven't found a reason for it in my life.
No, definitely not. And we'll talk. Just adding on to like the kindness of the people at that Turkish place.
Yeah.
Who said you won't remember what people said, but you'll remember how you make them feel.
Yeah, man.
It's like,
that's a pretty good point.
Yeah. Like I remembered like how they made us feel.
Yeah, I felt good. Then the baklava made me feel even better.
Dude, I don't know what it was, but it was this flaky like cake the pistachio one.
It's a baklava.
That was baklava.
It's like a pastry. Yeah.
Fuck, dude.
It's pretty good. Definitely had like a sugar high going after that.
Yeah, it was really sweet.
It was buzzing, dude.
And that farmers market, and then the burritos, the taqueria that we had.
That place was good, dude. They had good tacos.
Yeah.
They put them on corn and none of that flour bullshit.
Oh wait, I actually like flour. Dude, flour is really good.
I like corn tortillas. Yeah.
You like corn? Well, like actually in burritos, for sure.
Yeah, burritos
Corn or
are
flour?
very good.
Yeah.
All tortillas.
All tortillas.
It depends on the day.
Cool. A true tortilla eater. A true fan. See, that guy is taking the more spiritual approach to tortillas. We're over here coming up with
All
biases.
tortillas are welcome.
It is, yeah.
He's more accepting.
Yeah, definitely.
We could learn a lesson from this guy.
Yeah, we can. Shout out to Blue.
Shout out Blue. Shit, man.
Well, dude. So getting into more into the book. So when you were writing it, did you have an idea of like the different chapters that you wanted to make, or was that after you had the
I made a list of the different morals, and then I just went one by one and just wrote about each. So I came up with the list first, and then maybe at the end, like I added some, but I came up with a list, like a bullet point list of these are the different like components I'm going to speak on, and then I just would pick one, and I would just start writing. So I started with a quote. Each chapter I start with a quote from somebody else that relates to it. And then I would just start writing my thoughts on it, various perspectives. And that was how I kind of wrote it block by block.
Can we get into, because this was really interesting when I was reading it, and me and Blue had this conversation about just, like what's just and what's justice, and we can like get into that, because that was really interesting when I was reading it.
Yeah, and that's pretty tricky, man. Like, we like to think of like justice as like the justice system, like the legal system. But clearly, right now, we can see that the legal system is not what justice is. So, you know, I guess the way that I have conceptualized it in my life, something that I learned from a man, his name is Mark Passio. He's got a big, it's like a 9-hour video on the concept of natural law. And pretty much what he says is, you know, you can do whatever you want to do as long as it doesn't negatively affect somebody else. So if I go out and I do something and it hurts somebody else in any way, like severely, not just like hurts their emotions, like, you know, sure, you're going to like hurt people's feelings if they that's maybe like another conversation. But if I go out and I do something that physically hurts somebody, or messes with somebody's well-being, and that's not just. I don't have the right to do that. If I go out and do something that hurts me, then that's okay because I'm not hurting somebody else. That's my choice to do that to myself. But pretty much, man, at the end of the day, it just comes down to doing things. Just don't do anything that doesn't hurt somebody else. And I guess nowadays when you get into the idea of people being like emotionally hurt by things, it actually kind of really overcomplicates that. Now that I think about it, because people getting offended, people getting hurt, like there has to be a certain level of like emotional fortitude in a society for this to really make sense. Because regardless of what you're doing, man, you're gonna hurt somebody's feelings, or somebody's gonna feel like what you're doing is wrong. Or like somebody's always gonna have something to say.
I think Jordan Peterson said this. In order to live in a free society, you have to risk willing to offend someone.
Yeah. So that's freedom of speech, man. So
yeah,
there's always going to be people who might be offended. So maybe the whole idea comes down to just not physically hurting people. But like as long as you're not taking other people's property, as long as you're not taking away somebody's ability to express themselves, as long as you're not taking away somebody's ability to, their free will. It's really the biggest one. Free will, somebody's free will. As long as you're not imposing on other people's free will, then you're probably staying in your lane. You're probably acting justly, and you're probably cool.
Yeah.
But once you start imposing on people's free will, and once you start controlling others, once you start kind of doing shit like that, you're just you're not in your lane anymore. You're starting to fuck with people.
So if you want to get into like the law, there is like the Constitution. Is like I don't know. I'm not a lawyer or anything, but there's a Constitution, and then there's laws that are made by the state. Is that what we're seeing now? Laws being implemented to affect normal day life. Like I don't think that's just.
Yeah.
Like masks being enforced upon the people.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound just to me.
It's pretty weird, man. It's pretty strange stuff going on, man. I mean, and it's kind of tricky because, like, in like the 70s when the seatbelt mandate came into place, like there was a lot of people who were raising hell about seatbelts.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who were like, you can't make me wear a seatbelt.
Yeah.
I think seatbelts are good.
I think so too.
But also, at the end of the day, man, if you're not wearing a seatbelt, the only person it's going to affect is you. So I don't think that that law necessarily protects other people. It really just, like, if I don't wear a seatbelt and we get in an accident, I don't think that me not having a seatbelt on puts you any more at risk. So from that standpoint, it really wouldn't matter. But yeah, the whole mask thing, I don't know, man. It's pretty strange.
Yeah.
I don't really get too much into the political side of things because I'm pretty uneducated in politics. I haven't really spent much time looking into it. I haven't really spent much time studying it. But America was founded on really Masonic principles, which is very peculiar. Essentially, the idea that somebody should be able to do whatever they want. They should have free will. They should be able to do whatever they want. They should have the ability to exercise whatever religion they want. They should be able to speak on what they want. They should be able to occupy themselves with what they want to do. And as long as it doesn't hurt other people, then that person, that human being, has the right to practice that individuality and do that. And really, this is really the last chance we have to really get it right, because this is like the last big landmass a lot of these other countries were founded on similar ideas.
Yeah.
But
well, the only country that has the Constitution which protects those individual rights, inalienable rights, right?
is America?
Yeah, I would think so.
Maybe, but there's also something important to say about this is that people get caught up about their rights. But how many of your rights would go out the door if society collapsed?
Like nature.
Like how many of your rights would not exist anymore if all of a sudden it was every man for himself? So like a right is something that a human right, like an inalienable right. Like dude, if the apocalypse happened right now, a lot of our rights would be alienated because like somebody's going to come in and take our shit.
Yeah.
Or we're going to go take somebody else's shit.
Unless we enforce it.
So really, a lot of these rights that people, these are privileges. These are privileges.
That is true.
These are privileges that we have access to because of the government that we live under.
Yeah.
And we should be grateful for the government for protecting our privileges.
Definitely.
And we should protect our privileges, but when you get into the idea that like all of these things are rights, it's just kind of tricky, man. Because in nature, you have no fucking rights.
No, you're right, bro.
You have no fucking rights in nature. If fucking alligator wants to eat you, it's gonna eat you. You can't say no, my rights. No, you can't eat me. You can't do. There's no fucking rights in nature. In nature, it's raw, and it goes to the strongest, the fastest, the smartest. There's no rights in nature. Maybe you have like the ability to speak. The freedom of speech kind of exists in nature, to some extent. Like you can sit there, like, dude, we felt those fucking seagulls. Or yeah, you weren't there, but me and Rich and Natalie, we were at the coast. These seagulls are just like, wah, wah! Like they have the freedom to do that.
Yeah.
They can make noise all they want. I can't stop them. Unless I want to shoot them or something. But so, maybe in nature, like the freedom of speech maybe kind of exists in nature. But dude, humans, our society that we live in, man, these are privileges. These are things that it comes to. We have created order out of chaos, and through doing that, we have carved out certain things that we're able to enjoy in human life. And we should be very thankful for that.
Yeah.
But we also need to understand that most of our rights that people, speak on, most of our rights would not exist if it wasn't for either you defending them for yourself, or you creating them for yourself, or a government entity or somebody bigger creating and protecting them for you. It's the idea of government is to create and protect those things. But now we're experiencing a government that's starting to take those things away. So now you're seeing people turn against the government. Now you're seeing the necessity to protect those privileges for yourself. And without those privileges, I mean, it's those privileges that make us as humans unique. It's what we're able to do with those privileges that produce things like art and music and all these beautiful things that are able to come out of the creative space that you are in when you're not just trying to survive, Like for a long time, human beings, it was, dude, could you imagine, like, if you were worrying about finding food and finding water, like, and that was what you had to focus on.
Yeah.
And you were just focused on survival. You wouldn't have, like, time to, like, paint or make music. You'd be focused on surviving. But we live in a society that has elevated us above our basic needs of survival. So when that happens, you get art, you get creativity, and those types of things develop out of those societies that lift themselves out of that.
Yeah.
And that's what makes humans different, man. Is we have all these other animals on the planet. They are constantly living in survival. They're constantly looking for food or looking for sustenance or looking for like every day they're looking for survival. But we have removed ourselves from that. By doing that, we have opened ourselves up to a different way of life. and beautiful
Yeah.
things have come out of that. But also,
definitely, also the what was that quote? Hard times create strong men create good times. Good times create weak men.
Yeah.
Weak men create bad times.
Yeah.
And I think part of this, what's happening now, is that we have it so good that we're so used to that, and it's creating this sort of weak.
That's right, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah. So we've lifted ourselves above the need for survival, and on the positive side of that, you also have all these beautiful things like art. You can engage in whatever hobby, just all these, art, music, film. I mean, art is kind of like a broad category for a lot of things, but you have all these wonderfully beautiful, creative endeavors that have come out of us not needing to survive anymore. But talking about polarity earlier, for every tree there's an equal shadow. So for all this good stuff that has come out of that, there's also an equal amount of bad stuff. Dude, nowadays we have no problems, man. If you live in America and if you live in America and you make,
You're like the top 1%.
if you make $30,000 a year or maybe even less, bro, you are like the top 3% in the world of like a human being. You're living in the upper echelon of society. Do you know how hard it would have been back in the day? Like chocolate, for example. You couldn't get chocolate unless you were like a king. We were talking, hundreds of years ago. Like these salt, even.
Yeah, salt. People were paid in salt.
People
the
were
Romans.
paid in salt.
Yeah.
But nowadays we have access to everything. We are living like kings, bro. Dude, I have running water, hot and cold. Holy shit. I have hot and cold water. I have a roof over my head. I have a bed. I have a car.
Toilet that
have a
you can
toilet.
flush shit that you don't have to see anymore.
Yep, and I got a plunger too if it gets real bad. I have all of these amazing things that for like the entirety of humankind, like it has never been this good, to my knowledge. Yet somehow, people still want to complain. People still want to complain that it's not good enough or that something's wrong. So when we create all these positive things, we also create all of these fake negative things.
Mm-hmm.
All of these fake problems. And that's what's happening today in society is that everybody has fake problems. Everybody has fake problems. I mean, people are, getting offended and just worrying about all these little things where at the end of the day, man, we don't have any problems here.
I think it's good to create or have an external source of a problem, like resistance, like creating your own, like going to the gym or running. Because like going back full circle, what we were talking about, it's training your mind to overcome these obstacles.
Yeah, greatness comes out of resistance.
Yeah.
You need resistance to grow. That's why you go to the gym and you resist your muscle. So, yeah, dude, like great men and great women develop themselves through adversity.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, like, one of those chapters is fortitude. And I think it was in that chapter where you game. You game a little bit, don't you?
Yeah.
So, I'm trying to think of a good game. Like, imagine if you're playing a game, I don't know, maybe like Super Mario Sunshine, or one of those games where, like, you're traversing, like, levels.
Little Big Planet.
Yeah, one of those games where you're, like, traversing, like, levels. And imagine, like, if all you had to do was, like, walk forward, and then, like, you would win. It wouldn't be that fun. If there was no, like, obstacle in between you and victory. If there was no challenge, or there was no bad guy, or there was no puzzle, you wouldn't play that game. It would be no fun.
Yeah.
But somehow, when we view our own lives, anytime we come face to face with an obstacle or a puzzle or a challenge, we a lot of people want to recoil in the face of that, and they want an easy life. But at the end of the day, man, that easy game is not a fun game to play.
Yep.
The fun game is the one where the challenges are just challenging enough to really push you, but still doable. I mean, I don't know. I played some games where I was like, when I was a kid, I just couldn't figure. I was like, what the fuck? This is so confusing, and I just stopped playing them. So you wanna set goals for yourself that are challenging enough to create resistance, to where you really do have to work hard to make it happen, but not so far out there to where you can't see what the end of it looks like. Because if you set yourself too far, then you're just at some point it's just. You have to also set a goal that's reasonable enough to where you can have some sort of vision behind it. If you put something too far out there, then it's probably not going to work out. You're going to overextend yourself, and you're going to get burned out.
Interesting.
There's a sweet spot.
Yeah.
There's a sweet spot there.
It's kind of dude, shifting gears, going into fourth, fifth gear.
Are we really?
Yeah.
Fourth or fifth? Which one?
Let's go to sixth.
Shit. Shit.
Kind of like the idea of, well, when you smoke DMT.
Okay.
I've never smoked DMT, but from what I've kind of researched just a little bit, I don't know if you come to this realization that, well, I don't know if you don't want to speak of it, but you'd come to this realization that it's not the answer to life, but you kind of know what's going on in a way.
So a lot of these drugs, like these psychedelic drugs, I didn't mean to cut you off. Finish what you were going to say.
Just finishing my sentence. Terrence McKenna. It's like if you get the message, hang up the phone, in a way.
Yeah.
And if you just adding onto what you were saying earlier, if you know the answer, is it really fun to play? Is the game of life really fun to play?
Exactly, man. It's like we have been creating myths since the beginning of time about mankind going and facing the unknown and coming out with a prize. This is like an archetype. This is deeply ingrained into us. And what makes that so fun is that it is the unknown. You're traversing unknown territory. And that's exciting.
Yeah.
It's fun. Whether you're like,
fuck yeah, dude.
Like we went hiking today.
Yeah.
And I'd never been to where we went, and that was fun to traverse unknown territory. But it's also fun for me to talk to somebody who I don't know, and to traverse that unknown territory, and to explore that person, or to read a book that I'm not familiar with, and to traverse that unknown territory, or to engage in some sort of a discussion about something that I don't understand well with somebody who does. So facing the unknown and facing the unknown willfully and going into those situations with humility and understanding that you may not understand things, but through facing the unknown, you might come to some sort of an understanding, whether that be of yourself or of the bigger picture. That definitely is something in humans that we are hardwired. What in the fuck was that? Was that a soccer ball?
Soccer ball, yeah. Definitely hitting the wall.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Dude, that almost knocked your TV off the wall. Does that happen often?
Well, that was a pretty significant hit on the wall, yeah.
Oh my god. But yeah, man, no, it's not fun if you know the answers. It's not, just like you said, man, it's not fun if you know the answers.
Yeah.
So some people use psychedelics for that, to explore the unknown. Some people use meditation, which is just as effective as psychedelics, but it takes a lot longer. That's the thing, man, like psychedelic drugs, like they're really interesting, and they're beautiful, and they're really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But it is also a shortcut. All of these psychedelic states that people go into, there are people who have been accessing those states for thousands of years through meditation. It just takes a little bit longer. Sometimes it takes a whole lifetime to get it down. But yeah, man. And that's just like I said earlier, man. Challenging yourself, setting goals.
Sure.
Like when you set a goal for yourself that's in the future,
You have purpose.
you have a purpose, but you're also more than likely, ideally, you're setting a goal for yourself that is something you haven't done before.
Yeah.
And as you do that, you're willingly extending yourself into the unknown. And you're extending yourself into the abyss.
Yeah.
And by doing that, you have no choice but to grow.
Yeah.
You can't. It's like the whole hometown. You can't just stay in your hometown your whole life. People who stay in their hometowns their whole lives, there's a certain learning curve where you hit a brick wall. So don't just stay in your hometown with your work, with your philosophy, with your spirituality, with your relationships. Don't stay in that comfort zone.
Yeah.
Extend yourself. But to do that confidently, you got to build a skill set. You've got to develop some emotional fortitude. You've got to be honest with yourself. You more than likely need to have some sort of a moral compass, some sort of an inner space that you've developed that gives you confidence in your own judgment.
Mm.
And once you have those tools, you'll feel comfortable going into the jungle. You'll feel comfortable and you'll feel confident going and facing those challenges because you know that you've equipped yourself with the things necessary to take care of the job. If you don't have any skills and you don't, dude, if you don't have any skills or you don't know anybody, you don't have any relationships, then sure, it's like pretty understandable that, what's that? That's interesting. Oh, okay, cool. It's pretty understandable that you would want to, not trek out too far. That'd be dangerous, dude. Imagine like going into the wilderness like without a pocket knife, like with nothing, with no gear. That would be a bad idea. So going into the unknown might not always be a good idea because you could get fucked up. What's better is to equip yourself well in life. That would just be with a basic social aptitude. If you ideally you can walk into a room and you could converse with anybody in that room. It's good to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So you have some sort of a social aptitude that makes you feel confident in any social setting. You have some sort of an intellectual aptitude to understand things, where you feel comfortable talking about anything, and even though it might not be something that you understand, you can kind of
maneuver your way
around it. You can formulate opinions. You can ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have some sort of a skill, whether it's like sales, marketing. You have some sort of like a practical skill that can be sold. That's marketable.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have those things on your tool belt, then it's pretty easy to feel good maneuvering your way through life because you've given yourself the tools necessary to trek through the wilderness.
The concrete jungle.
The concrete jungle, bro. The fucking concrete jungle.
Yep.
Yeah, man. For real.
Is there anything else that you'd want to mention in the book that you think that stands out to you?
Dude, really, the only thing I can think of is just gratitude, man. That's the biggest one, dude. Being grateful for everything. When you wake up, ideally, the first thing you think is gratitude. And when you go to sleep. So we're talking about subconscious, right? So like one of the times when our subconscious mind is really working is when we're sleeping. So, when you wake up, there's a certain window of time where your brain waves are still in a lucid state, meaning that your subconscious is easily influenced.
Mm-hmm.
So ideally, when you wake up, the first thing that comes to your mind is thoughts of gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that I woke up this morning. Thank you for the sun. Thank you for my bed.
Yeah.
Thank you for my partner. If you're waking up next to somebody, you have food in the fridge. Thank you for the breakfast I'm about to have. Giving thanks to creation, right? And then as you go to sleep, you should do the same thing. You should fall asleep to thoughts of gratitude. And what you're doing when you do that is you're sandwiching your sleep with with gratitude. You're thinking it as you go to sleep, and you're thinking it as you wake up. And when you get yourself on a gratitude vibe, maybe is the way to put it, when you are grateful, God will give you more things to be grateful for. It's kind of like you can only catch a fish. Your ability to catch a fish really comes down to the size of your hook or the size of your net. If I have a small net, I can only catch a small amount of fish. But if I have a very big net, I can catch more fish. And by practicing gratitude, by practicing that in my life, you are increasing your capacity for life and abundance.
Mm.
And by increasing your capacity, by being grateful for the things that you already have, by practicing an expansive, like we're either expanding or we're contracting. Like there's no in between. By practicing an expansive, grateful mindset, you're increasing your capacity for good things coming in your life. And the only things that are going to come into our lives are the things that we have the capacity for.
Mm.
So really, man, like I think it's the last chapter is great. That's just the biggest one. All I can say is like if somebody should buy it and read it. If you read it and you don't like it, they can reach out to me and I'll give them their money back. It's like the book doesn't cost that much money.
Yeah.
It's super easy to read. Yeah, dude, if somebody reads the book and they don't like it, they can mail it to me and I'll give them their money back. Cool. It's written super simply, and I think it's important, man. But this is just the beginning.
Just getting started.
Yeah, man, I'm just getting started. I have a lot more that I need to talk about.
Cool. Well, where can people find you, follow you, social media?
Yeah, man. They can email me, warrensteury@gmail.com if they want to start a conversation there. Ideally, you guys just follow me on Instagram. They can hit me up on Instagram at NWSTEURY. I'm sure we can like put a graphic on the screen or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, hit me up through Instagram is probably the best way to get in touch with me. And I love to have conversations. What I love more than people telling me how good things are is I love criticism. So I challenge people to challenge my ideas, help me figure out where I'm wrong, and through that maybe we can come to an understanding of things together. So, I'd love to hear from people who disagree with me on certain things. I'd love to hear from people who think that I'm wrong. I'd love to hear from people who have a different opinion. I find those conversations far more beneficial than people who just agree with everything that I'm saying.
Mm.
So, because I don't know much.
Yeah. Right.
So it's just like the only way I can grow is through challenging my beliefs.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here to do.
All right. Well, that's it, man. I really, dude, this was fun. Yesterday was fun too. Today was fun.
Dude, we should have recorded all of it, dude.
Yeah, I think the lens cap was on the cameras. I don't think we captured this conversation.
Dude, we've had a good 2 days, man.
Yeah.
Hiking around, going to Santa Barbara, going down to Long Beach today. It's been a great time in California.
Fuck yeah.
It's been a fantastic trip. I'm very grateful.
Many more.
Yeah, I will be back. Definitely.
All right. Well, that's it, guys. Peace.
All right, ciao. See you guys.